Okay, welcome back for a look at Survival Hunter now. So, wow. Survival Hunter, I think, is going to be a very interesting class to play. In Legion, it was a class that was known for not doing amazing damage, but being really, really hard to play. And a lot of that had to do with the Mongoose Bite window and dealing with juggling all your plates of all your dots, as well as the Mongoose Bite rotation. And that, in the end, didn't be as rewarding as we would want it to be, because again, it didn't do as much damage as we would want it to do. So let's see how the changes have worked out here for BfA. So first off, looking at our mastery. Mastery is different here, so you and your pet focus spending abilities deal X% increased damage. So again, very similar to Marksman, right? Just a focus increase. And then while your pet is active, you both regenerate health. So that's nice, because some kind of passive healing basically while your pet's active. Nothing different with that. Alright, looking through the abilities here. So we have Wildfire Bomb. This is a new ability here. It's somewhat taking the place of Explosion Shot, it seems, but it has some much more interesting interactions, as we'll see in talents. So again, you hurl a bomb at a target, exploding for X damage in a cone, and coating the enemies with wildfire, scorching them for X fire damage for 5 seconds. And again, about 15-second recharge. Again, it gets reduced by haste. Tar Trap, same. Steel Trap, there's a talent, we'll talk about that later. Serpent Sting, this is now baseline for survival. Fire a poison-tipped arrow at an enemy dealing X damage instantly, and then additional damage over X number of seconds. Now, the time is reduced by haste, but not the tick. So it's kind of a weird thing where the more haste you have, the less time it lasts, and that makes it a little bit hard at times. I wish they would actually keep the duration always the same and just increase the number of ticks and increase the amount of damage. But again, it's damage per execution time, DPS is going up technically because damage over a less period of time. You can use it more frequently without overwriting, but as we'll see, that might be hit or miss. Raptor Strike, same as before. This is, by the way, the only ability that has to be in melee range. Everything else technically can be used from range. Primal Rage, this again is built into the pet. So again, if I look at my pet talent thing over here, so we have 3 pet types, and from now on, all pets are in one of those 3 types, and they automatically get some abilities. So if you have a Ferocity pet, then it's Primal Rage, right? You can't actually change their talents anymore. The pet itself is the type. So Primal Rage is basically your heroism. If you have a Tenacity pet, you and your pet gain increased maximum health, very valuable. Survival of the Fittest, reduce all damage you and your pet take by 20% for 6 seconds. Again, very nice cooldown. It should be noted that all pets do the exact same damage one another, so there's no difference in the amount of damage your pet's doing anymore. So it really is, what ability do you want? And then Cunning, Pathfinding, Master's Call. Personally, rating, I think that this can be very valuable because of the increased health. We all know how much hunters would die a lot. So if that stays the same in their wonderful male armor, then this might be very valuable. Survival of the Fittest, a great cooldown. Ferocity does give you the heroism, however, so again, if you're in a group and you need a hero, you have that ability with the Ferocity pet. You also gain Leech from your pet. If you have a Ferocity pet, I believe it's about 10% Leech. I don't know why that tooltip's broken, but again, it's about 10% Leech. And again, you can actually put that ability on your bar, and it changes depending on your pet. Pet utility, of course, muzzle, same thing. It's interrupt 15 seconds. This is off GCD, by the way. Misdirection, again, you actually have this again as survival, which is very nice. So you can misdirect and then do your melee damage. So it's very valuable there, just like rogues tricks, right? You're in melee, lasts for 8 seconds, and you can do a lot of threat in the beginning. Good burst. Kill command, again, now survival gets kill command. Now, this ability does no damage, but it does generate focus. Now, I have 2 charges because of a talent. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I should also note it has this 25% chance to reset its cooldown. It's a random thing. It is nice, though. It gives you a good bit of focus, and survival is a spec that needs focus. It's not in any way GCD capped. You have downtime most of the time. Intimidation, same as before. Harpoon is built in. I find this ability to be super fun, right? Harpoon to a target, pulling you to them. It roots them in place, of course, not for bosses, but Freezing Trap is Freezing Trap, Flare, same Feign Death, Acceleration, same thing as the other Hunter specs, Eagle Eye, Disengage. Now, Disengage you actually might be using in rotationally, we'll see, depending on the talent build, we'll talk about that later. Courier Assault is your main cooldown. Again, this is on the GCD. As I talked about in my GCD video, I think it's absolutely fine. It doesn't feel clunky at all. It's a 2-minute cooldown. You basically use it. Again, you and your pet attack as one, increasing all damage you both deal by 20% for 20 seconds. So again, it's just a flat damage increase. It's very, very valuable, very nice. Now, the big thing is that while it's active, Kill Command's chance to reset is increased by 25%. So again, you get 25% increased chance to reset the cooldown. So again, you can get a lot of Kill Commands in a row to build up that focus very quickly. But again, I'll talk more about the rotation here in a little bit. Aspect of the Turtle, same as before. Aspect of the Eagle. Now, this is no longer really a DPS cooldown. And this is one where, again, it being on the GCD is kind of weird. Because basically it's going to be used as a utility. It's really going to be used in the case where if you're switching from boss to boss, the boss runs away, you can't be in melee, you can hit this ability, and for 15 seconds, you can basically do your entire rotation from range. As I mentioned, Raptor Strike is the only ability that that isn't range friendly, right? That you have to be in melee range for. And so again, this ability to kind of allow Raptor Strike to be 40 yards for 15 seconds is going to be a very interesting utility where if you have those moments in time when you have to kind of run from target to target, you're out of range, you can still be DPSing the entire time. So much more of a utility than it is anything else. But again, still kind of an interesting part for this spec. Cheetah, same as before. All right. So now let's talk about the talents here. So I'll admit right up front, this is a spec where I will not be able to know the exact best combinations until we have some sim work done. There are a lot of combinations, a lot of very integral combinations that could be good, could be not good, and it's going to really depend upon how we actually find out with simming data and stuff like that. So again, I'm looking forward to that later on in the beta, but for right now, let's talk about what we do have and how it plays. So first row. First talent here, Viper's Venom. So Raptor Strike has a chance to make your next Serpent Sting cost no focus and deal an additional 300% initial damage. Okay, that's nice. Again, it felt good. Your Raptor Strike, you get that nice free Serpent Sting. The initial damage is 300%, so again, it doesn't increase the dot damage afterwards, just the initial hit. What I found was this basically took the damage of Serpent Sting from something in the order of about 1904 damage per execute time up to something in the order of about 26 or so. So again, it really did help because you're using it a lot more frequently. Your uptime ends up being a lot higher because you're using it not when it falls off, but you're more using it to refresh because we're trying to get that initial damage. So you are kind of clipping some, and I'm sure there's going to be some formula to where you only clip it if it has X amount of time left type of a thing, where you'll kind of hold your proc there for a little bit and not immediately use it. But again, nice talent. It kind of feels nice. It's kind of good to be able to react to that kind of proc, but as we'll see, I don't think is what we're going to be taking. In terms of engagement, it's really interesting. Again, so now Harpoon is basically a Raptor Strike. If you look, Harpoon here deals 1691. If I go to my Raptor Strike, 1688. And so again, they're basically going to be very much the same thing. Now, this does not benefit from any other talents that affect Raptor Strike, which we'll see later on. But you have this ability, and the biggest thing is the 40 focus over 10 seconds. That's a lot of focus, and again, you can really use focus in survival. You're always wanting more focus. So again, getting that focus and getting the focus for a good damage amount, because as I mentioned, Kill Command, very weak. Very, 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 very weak. We're talking about, a couple hundred damage coming from Kill Command here. So the more we can get damage out of our focus builders, the better. And so this is a nice thing. Only issue is it requires you to basically harpoon in, do your damage, and then when your harpoon's about to come off again, disengage back out to harpoon back in. Now again, Aspect of the Eagle can help here because you can kind of you can disengage out, Aspect of the Eagle, do some damage from range, and then harpoon back in. So there's definitely some ways where those things can interact that could be interesting. I just think that, again, unless the fight really is one where you're moving from place to place a lot, where you're going to be harpooning a lot, it's not going to be as good as the other talents there. Now, Alpha Predator is just amazing, and it's going to make more sense as I get further into these talents here, because a lot of the other talents are what make this really good. So Alpha Predator gives Kill Command 2 charges and an increased damage. Now, here's the fact. 30% of a small number is still a small number. Okay, so it's still not doing a lot of damage. Basically, it's an increase from about 270 from what I have in my gear to about 360. So we're talking about something, again, very, very small amount of damage increased. You're not going to really notice it that much. But it's that charge. That 2 charges is huge because Kill Command has a 5-second-ish, 6-second minus haste that you can oftentimes, you don't want to hit it, right? You don't want to hit it every single time. You only want to hit it when you want focus back. So having those 2 charges to allow yourself to build up those charges and spend them when you need them is just so valuable. It really, really is so valuable. It's one of those things where I have a feeling that even though that it's not the most like damage increase on its own, I think that it's going to be your go-to talent. I would even like to see this maybe baseline and then get something else in here, because I do think that these other 2 talents are really interesting and can make for very engaging gameplay. Again, in terms of game it with a kind of whole jump out, run back in, kind of Havoc Demon Hunter-esque, as we saw with Legion. And again, even Viper's Venom, I think, as you'll see later on, can be a very interesting thing where, again, you get react to procs, which, again, can be a very fun, engaging gameplay. All right, next row. Let's get it clear. If you're hitting more than 1 target, you're taking Butchery. Butchery is super strong. It's just like Butchery was before. It's just as strong as it was before. Again, when you're hitting something on the order of like 4 targets, it's doing thousands of damage, thousands of DPS. It has the 3 charges. Its recharge is reduced by haste. Yeah, it's what it was before. It's very strong. Costs 20 focus. So again, it's cheaper than a Raptor Strike. Yeah, it's very good if you're having multiple targets in that 8-yard range around you. Hydra's Bite, this is an interesting talent. So Serpent Sting fires arrows at 2 additional enemies near your target, meaning within 8 yards, and its damage over time is increased. So this is increasing the dot over time damage. So again, this is going to be a thing where these 2 might seem like they go together. I'm not sure if that's true, because with this, you're almost wanting to be clipping to kind of get that extra 300% initial damage. And again, the fact that it's free here. This only helps the tick at the end of its damage, but again, that 2 additional enemies might be valuable. I just have a hard time thinking of a fight where Butchery wouldn't be better than this. On a single target, you'll see how this and the other talent are basically equal, and I just think the other talent, single target, might work out better. Again, we'll have to see. There's a lot of things that could happen here. Guerrilla Tactics is the other talent here on the 30 row. DPS-wise, single target, Hydra's Bite, and Guerrilla Tactic are about the same. Guerrilla Tactic Bomb now has 2 charges instead of 1 charge, and its initial explosion deals 100% increased damage. So again, this is a huge part of our DPS, by the way. Guerrilla Tactics, Wildfire Bomb, big part of our overall damage here. It's our number 1 damage per execute time ability at the base set, right? For our base abilities, it's the ability that does the most damage per time you use it, right? If you include all the damage it does over its 5-second ticking. So having an extra charge, again, allows you to not have to hit it on cooldown, but let it to recharge a little bit, which again can be valuable, as we'll see later on with other talents. So again, it on its own is about equal to Hydra's Bite, but again, I think synergy with other talents is why it's going to pull ahead. 45 row, again, rating, you're going to take this. I think Trailblazing is great for leveling. Natural Mending is going to be probably to take it in rating. Camouflage, maybe for PvP. Again, take what you want. 60 row. All right. So we have a Murder for Crows. Valuable thing. Again, remember, anything that costs focus is going to scale with our mastery. So this will scale with our mastery. So again, it costs 30 focus, and it'll definitely scale with our mastery. Does a good amount of damage. Minute cooldown. Steel Trap, however, I think is going to be a little bit better. Now, it's not going to scale with our mastery, but it does more damage. If you look, it's a bleed, so again, it ignores armor. Murder for Crows is physical. It will be reduced by armor. And it's a 30-second cooldown, and it does 6,000 to 39. Murder for Crows is 8, but in a minute. So again, you can kind of see, you can use 2 Steel Traps per every Murder of Crows. You're going to get more damage out of it, plus, again, it avoids the armor, which is very nice. Now, we might see with Mastery scaling this take over. It also might be a case where, just for the fact that you have to constantly place this. Now again, there are macros to drop it at your feet, which again, if you're in melee, you won't need that. But again, you do have to actually place the Steel Trap, just like you would any other trap. So again, there's a little bit of time lost because of that. Murder for Crows, if you can reset it, it's going to be better, right? Murder for Crows, if you can reset, will be better than Steel Trap. I just find that Steel Trap, again, for a normal kind of, boss fight where you're not going to get a lot of resets out of Murder for Crows, it's going to be better. Murder for Crows also costs focus, and again, we like our focus. We need more focus, so the fact that it costs focus, even though that helps its scaling with Mastery, might hurt its overall usefulness because of that. Bloodseeker, this is very hard to actually really test. It says kill command cause the target to bleed for X amount of damage over 8 seconds. Again, it basically is bleeding for more than the actual kill command does, so that's nice as far as increasing the damage of kill command. Now, To my knowledge, it is not really scaling well with Alpha Predator because the multiple charges is just resetting this, and I'm not seeing the kind of increased damage. That might be a bug. It might actually be that it will double the damage for the overlap. We'll have to see as time goes on, and that could actually make it very valuable. The other thing it does is you and your pet gain 10% attack speed for every bleeding enemy within 12 yards. I'll show you how you can help that. Again, you would think, oh, steel trap, but you can't take them both. So I'll show you how you can get a bleed in survival. Now, it does count for any other bleed. So if you're with other feral druid, rogue that have bleeds, it will work. And again, that every target you get 10% attack speed. So this might be valuable, but I said I can't really test it in this environment. So this is a great example where this row will very much be a row where the sims will tell us what's going to be best. 75, same as with any other hunter. Born to the Wild, I think, is going to be the best one here for the increased aspect of the turtle. Post haste, again, binding shot, they are what they are. 90 row. Here's Mongoose Bite, right? That thing that we had before. So it replaces Raptor Strike, okay? So it's no longer separate. It's now taking the place of it. Costs the same amount of focus. Brutal attack that deals 946 physical damage and grants you Mongoose Fury. Mongoose Fury increased the damage of Mongoose Bite by 20% for 14 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Successive attacks do not increase duration. Okay, so it's very similar to the Mongoose Bite we had before. Here's the problem. Look at that damage, 946. Look at this damage in the bottom right, 1688. Okay, so you basically have to get above 3 stacks to be doing more damage. And because of the kind of focus-starved nature, you're going to have far more 1 and 2 stack Mongoose Bites than you will 4 and 5. So in the end, I found it to actually be a DPS loss currently to Raptor Strike. Now, if they reduce the focus cost, if they increase the base level, if they increase how much scaling it does, if it was like 25% every time, those are all things that could fix it. So again, for those of you who might want Mongoose Bite, it is still there. Currently in current scaling, I don't think it's worth the hassle. And I'll talk about the hassle here in a little bit. Other options, Flanking Strike. So again, 40-second cooldown. You and your pet leap to the target, strike it as 1, dealing a total of X damage, and it generates focus for you and your pet. So again, like I said, we like focus generators that do good damage. This does good damage. 40-second cooldown, though, makes it, I think, a moot point. Especially compared to a fixed Mongoose Bite and then Tip of the Spear. So again, interesting talent. It does, of course, leap you to the target, which is nice. But if it was like a 20-second cooldown, maybe it'd be better. But at that 40-second cooldown, I don't know. Tip of the Spear, kill command increases the damage of your next Raptor Strike by 15%, stacking up to 3 times. This is really good, especially with Alpha Predator, because again, you have 2 charges. You can kill command, get immediate 2 stacks. That's a 30% increase on your next Raptor Strike, and now your Raptor Strike's doing even more damage. So I found that this basically, again, increased Raptor Strike's damage by about 20%. So again, if you kind of average everything together, it was right around a 20% increase in damage there. So again, I like Tip of the Spear. Again, Mongoose Bite may be in the future if it gets tuned differently, but again, you're already kind of juggling enough stuff, especially when you look at the 100 row. All right, so in the 100 row, we have Chakrams. This is a great talent. I'm not going to this is a good single target talent. It does more damage than a Raptor Strike does single target. Again, it hits the target on the way there and on the way back. AoE is a great talent too. It actually does more damage than even a Butchery would in a multi-target situation. And again, it scales nicely with number of targets, especially if they're all grouped together. But again, that's the same as Butchery. So again, it's a very good AoE talent. Nothing to say about that. It's 30 focused, so again, it will scale with our mastery. So yeah, again, that's a fine talent. This is a talent that I honestly love. I really like when there's an integral kind of interesting min-maxing ability in a spec, and I really, really like this talent. Now, whether or not it's actually going to be the talent we end up taking, who knows? If not, it's going to be kind of a shame in my opinion. So let me read this and explain this. So, Wildfire Infusion. Lace your Wildfire Bomb with an extra Regent, randomly giving it one of the following enhancements each time you throw it. So again, this is something that modifies your ability of Wildfire Bomb. The 3 things can be Shrapnel Bomb. So shrapnel pieces, pierces the targets, causing Raptor Strike and Butchery to apply a bleed for 9 seconds that stacks to 3 times. Next one, Pheromone Bomb. Kill command has a 100% chance to reset against targets coated with pheromones. Last one, Volatile, reacts violently with poison, causing an extra explosion against enemies suffering from your Serpent Sting and refreshing your Serpent Stings. Okay, here's the really cool thing about it. You know what the next bomb's going to be, so it actually changes your tooltip. And so you will know, and we can make weak orders to let us know what the next is going to be. Depending on the next bomb, you actually want to do different things. For a shrapnel bomb, you want to be storing focus, right? You want to be high on focus when you use this, so you can Raptor Strike 3 times, get that bleed up to multiple stacks, okay? If you have Pheromone Bomb, it's the opposite. You want to be low on focus because you're going to get that 100% reset on kill command. So you can basically be down to no focus, Pheromone Bomb, kill command 3 or 4 times to get yourself back up. Again, this will of course stack with something like Tip of the Spear as well. You can then Raptor Strike multiple times as well. Love it. Volatile Bomb, again, is something where you want to make sure your Serpent Sting is up. Now, we should be keeping it up all the time anyway. But again, we want to use it towards the end of our Serpent Sting because we get that free refresh. It also does an extra explosion, and this is an ability that might make Hydra Bite okay in some situations, because if there's a situation where there's 2 targets and you can get 2 or 3 targets that have Serpent Sting on it, everyone that has Serpent Sting will get an extra explosion from this ability. So again, that can be valuable, that can be useful for sure. So again, in small group situations, it's possible. Now, this also works well with Guerrilla Tactics because having the 2 charges allows you to basically use an ability, get the buff out of it. So for example, you can Shrapnel Bomb, get your 3 stacks high, hit it again, whatever your next random is, and do something else again more quickly. So again, I really like this ability. I actually find this to be a more fun kind of paying attention, min-maxing, kind of changing your rotation up than the Mongoose Bite was back in Legion, and I was a fan of that. The other talent, however, is Birds of Prey. So Raptor Striking your pet's target extends the duration of coordinate assault by 1 second. I was able to get 30 plus second coordinated assaults. Again, its base is 20. I was able to get over 30 with this ability. So 30 seconds on a 2-minute cooldown uptime, 25% uptime on a 20% increased damage. That's strong. Again, it's one of those things where if you're a great player and can min-max this, maybe it's competitive, but that's good, right? I mean, that's a great ability. By the way, if you take Mongoose Bite, this changes to Mongoose Bite. So again, your Mongoose Bite would do the same thing. Again, I don't think you're going to be taking Mongoose Bite unless they change the damage scaling of it. Tip of the Spear works just as well with it because again, you're trying to hit Raptor Strike a lot to stack up that damage buff on your next Raptor Strike. So yeah, this is the talent set that I think might be very competitive. As you can see here, again, it's possible Bloodseeker could be good. And again, as I mentioned, Shrapnel Bomb puts a bleed, so Shrapnel Bomb on a lot of targets, you're going to get a lot of buff from Bloodseeker. So again, in that kind of pack AoE situation, maybe Bloodseeker, again, is better. And honestly, for AoE, I think it's going to be, right? Unless Murder for Crow's reset is super strong, I think Bloodseeker is going to be the one you go with. Chakram's and Wildfire Infusion is going to be a close one. I think Chakram's is probably going to win out. It's also probably easier to maintain that rotation for an AoE. Butchery's going to be super, super strong. But again, we'll just have to see how all this actually plays out. But Survival seems like a very fun, very engaging spec. I think it's kind of odd with as with the Eagle. We're going to have to see the kind of fights that we're dealing with, whether or not we can min-max that. Again, I'm sure Mythic Rangers will, of course, min-max that ability and be able to get the most out of it. But again, in my kind of beta testing environment, I didn't feel a need to ever do it. I tried it out. It's kind of cool. The graphics is cool. It looks really cool. But again, I didn't really see much value there. But as far as feedback is concerned, again, I think Alpha Predator almost needs to become baseline. You can even remove the increased damage from it. Just give Kill Command 2 charge base and change this talent to something else. Because again, I do think that either of these two can make for very engaging gameplay. This row, again, is going to be very close. Butchery, I think, is just super strong, so I think it's going to be the kind of the go-to for clump AoE. Hydra's Bite, maybe for like a cleave situation. Like, again, there's a couple targets. Again, this also works better for range because Serpent Sting is a ranged ability, where Butchery is not and can't be increased. So again, if there's a situation where you have to be ranged a bit more in a fight, this might be very useful. Again, like I said, it does match up very nicely with something like Wildfire Infusion. Guerrilla Tactics, I just found to be again, the one that seemed to make the most sense to me. Again, these two single target do about the same. For your burst AoE, this is technically better. Having 2 charges allows you to kind of get 2 bombs out back to back really quickly to kind of do a lot of really burst damage. But again, it's going to be hard to tell. I'm sure either of these two would be used for single target. Well, again, we'll have to see when the simming work is done there. But yeah, you also mentioned they've included the PvP talents now. I'm not going to talk much about this. Basically, you can kind of click on the PvP talents you want from each bucket. That's kind of nice. We'll see how that testing goes along in beta. But yeah, Survival is a lot of fun. It's a good melee class that has the ability to be ranged for a period of a time, which can be very nice. And again, it's a lot of fun, and I really, really, like I mentioned, hope that Wildfire Infusion gets changed, because that would be a lot of fun to play with. It really makes it so that you're thinking about what you're doing next. You're kind of planning your abilities in the future, and I think that's a lot of fun. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, make sure to leave those down there in the chat. And again, I'll be making a BM video tomorrow. Again, the current changes just fixed BM, fixed some of their abilities and such, so I'll be testing that out tomorrow. Hopefully get that video up sometimes tomorrow.